Hi, my name is Joshua Adams of Authentic Psychology. I'm here to give my take on the question, is mental illness on the rise? Before answering this question, let's consider a few distractor issues and get them out of the way. Number one, it is somewhat obvious that mental health diagnoses have increased as the awareness, study, and assessment of psychological disorders in the last 100 or so years has drastically grown. Consider the increase in diagnoses and the increase in mental illness are two different topics. Second point, in Western societies, there is no question that over the last 100 years or more, external quality of life indicators clearly indicate that life is getting better in many ways. There is less poverty in at least Western societies. The experience of many types of trauma, especially war-related, has decreased. We are living longer, and on and on. But as I will show, this does not necessarily mean that we are living better emotionally. So without further ado, I'll give you my answer based on research. In short, mental illness rates have definitely increased in the last 80 or so years, and possibly even further back also. More specifically, mental health issues have been shown to have consistently increased from the 1930s through the 1990s. After the 1990s, there's conflicting data depending on how you measure it, but I won't delve into that right now. Let me refer to a few studies to justify my points. In a cross-sectional comparison of the rates and severity of generalized anxiety disorder across the globe by Ruscio, Hallian, and Lim, it was found that across 26 countries, generalized anxiety disorder, and thus anxiety, was found to be more than 3 times as bad in wealthier countries than in lower income countries, despite the fact that within these wealthier countries, the poorer were more anxious than the rich. Let me break this down for you. Being poor is one of the biggest risk factors for anxiety, but only if you are in a wealthy nation and thus surrounded by rich people to compare yourself to. This tells me it's not poverty that causes anxiety, but the perception of having less than others, and the perception of being judged for having less than others. Let's look at another study. In a 2009 meta-analysis studying diagnosable mental illnesses among young Americans between 1938 and 2007 by Twenge et al., it was found that 5 times as many in 2007 scored past a diagnosable cutoff for mental illness than in 1938. 5 times as many. What is their explanation for this increase in mental illness? They attribute it to cultural shifts, in particular, shifts towards materialism, status, and other extrinsic goals, and away from community, meaning in life, and other intrinsic goals. There are countless other reports and studies which show an increase in mental health issues, especially in the last 70 or 80 years. Before that, and because of unreliable data, we can only speculate based on theories explaining the reasons for increased mental illness. But we can do more than just speculate right now. In 1996, Kasser and Ryan looked at 2 studies measuring correlations between mental illness or mental health and extrinsic aspirations such as appearance, wealth, and social recognition. What they found, the more that people valued community feeling, physical health, affiliation, self-acceptance, and other intrinsic values, the better their mental health. Let's continue talking about the question of why. Why has mental health issues risen in the last 80 years? I've mentioned a few already, but let me mention a few more. Social transiency. Transiency especially of support groups, including families and close friends. The loss of familial supports is significant because family, ideally, is there for you unconditionally. Gradually, family and friends are becoming more like business or contractual connections as individualism in society increases. I'll stay with you as long as you fill in the blank. As long as you don't fill in the blank. No pressure, right? Speaking of pressure, even within workplaces, things have changed. While stress is obviously a matter of perception, it is fairly evident that more people feel stressed in their careers and jobs now as there are more pressures to perform. Due to individual and family pressures to earn and compete, children are now more of an economic and psychological burden. It used to be more of a joy and an economic advantage to families. What do we aspire to now? Remember the American dream or the Canadian dream? It's great for those who have achieved it, but for those who aren't able to find success in the American dream sense, they are not viewed with compassion as much anymore. Instead, they're viewed as incompetent or lazy. I could talk more about the increase in loneliness and living alone, the increase in the divorce rate, the advent of social media, and various other possible culprits. But I think these are all connected in various ways with the most accepted theory that we are pursuing extrinsic goals more than intrinsic goals. Before I leave, I have to mention that despite all of this bad news, there are a few positives. Treatment is becoming more and more sought after and more available. We still have work to do. But the stigma around people suffering with mental illness is starting to decrease, and more people are having important conversations around this crucial topic. Finally, let me leave you with a few ideas or tips to counter this societal trend. Number one, start with you. Your family, your close friends, spend time with each other. If and when you feel emotionally safe, practice opening up about your struggles and ask them about their struggles. Be mutually supportive. Number two, help out a young family in your circle by offering free childcare. Get to know and appreciate little children. Number three, if your career is causing stress, find ways to cut back, either emotionally or with time boundaries. 4, consider, discuss, and follow meaningful pursuits in life. What is your purpose in life? And number 5, if family and friend support is not enough, seek out professional help. Thanks for watching. I'm Joshua from Authentic Psychology at www.AuthenticPsych.com.